ABC, how's everybody doing? I've been gone for a little while, I know, about a month again, but month of April was a good one. I got married and had a nice honeymoon and all that. And to top it off, I found some really good records in Hill Country, so I'm gonna kind of show everything I got this month. Also, this month was Record Store Day. I think everybody had a pretty good record store day this year. It was a pretty good list. I don't know if I would say it was the best one, but a good one nonetheless. I definitely picked some stuff up, which I will show here in a few minutes. So I guess to start, I'll just kind of show 45s I got this month, which it's been a while since I picked up a good amount of 45s, so I'm really excited to have some to show off. First one is the Everly Brothers' Kathy's Clown, B-side Always It's You on the Warner Brothers label. This is a really cool, late 50s, early 60s label design. Next up, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. The Love I Saw in You Was Just a Mirage on the Tamla label. B-side is Come Spy With Me. Then I have Simon and Garfunkel, The Dangling Conversation, and The Big Bright Green Pleasure Machine. Manfred Mann, Sha-La-La, and John Hardy. Wilson Pickett, It's Still Good. She Said Yes. Ahmad Jamal Trio, Poinciana, and Soft Winds on Argo. I have a Parliament here, Theme from the Black Hole, and I can't read the back one because it's covered by stickers, but You're a Fish and I'm something, Water Sign. And I have a repress of Richie Valens' La Bamba on an oldies label, and the B-side is Drums in My Heart by D. Clark. Actually, it might be a double A-side or whatever, so I'm not sure what's intended to be the A-side. And then I think I already have these two, but they were nice finds in the thrift store. Dirty Water, the Standells, nice garage rocker. The B-side is Rari or Rari. And then the Bar-Kays, Soulfinger, and Knucklehead on the Volt label, which is one, a cool label, and two, the song Soulfinger kind of has a special place in my heart because I was in marching band in high school, and that was one of the songs we play like on parades or at football games, stuff like that. Alright, and the rest of these are picture sleeves. I'll kind of talk about where I got these. This was a cool find from my wife's store, her Half Price Books. This is on Discord. The band is the High Back Chairs. It's a single for the songs Share and One Small Step. So I didn't know anything about the High Back Chairs when I found this. I just saw the Discord logo. But, when you think Discord, you kind of think like DC punk or hardcore, that kind of thing, Fugazi, Minor Threat, Ian MacKaye type stuff. But this was actually power pop, sort of like 90s alternative or power pop, just like big chords, big hooks and things like that. Just some good songs, really cool sound. And this I think it has a member from Minor Threat, like on drums or bass or something like that, but kind of interesting find. And then just the other day, actually, technically after our honeymoon ended, we took a trip down to Austin, just kind of spontaneously. And of course I had to hit up all the good record stores there, including End of an Ear. I didn't get any 45s there, but at one of the Half Price Books in Austin, it looked like some guy had like traded in his whole 45 collection, and there was some cool stuff, definitely a lot of stuff I never heard of, and will probably kick myself in the future for not picking up when I saw them, because everything was priced pretty well. The one thing I did grab from there 45 wise was the this Jeff the Brotherhood single for You Got the Look and the Tropics. So this one's hand numbered. I have number 35. I think it's out of like 500, and it's on this white vinyl. Pretty cool. And I don't own any other Jeff the Brotherhood stuff, and I have not listened to their entire discography, but I knew I had enjoyed what I had heard. And yeah, these are great songs. I don't know if these are album tracks or what, but both just really good songs, both with kind of slightly different sounds. The B side is definitely a little more mellow, and the A side is definitely more energetic. From another favorite of mine, Breakaway Records, which I don't know if I've talked about Breakaway too much, but every time I go there, well, of course I look at the LPs, but Breakaway just has such an amazing 7-inch single collection. I mean, of everything pretty much you could ever want. If you want, you know, your 60s rock, they have it. Northern soul, rare reggae, stuff, you know, promos and all kinds of cool collectible 45s. And that also includes some picture sleeves. So I got this Dead Kennedys Halloween picture sleeve. B-side is Saturday Night Holocaust. Pretty cool. It's on the Alternative Tentacles label. There's the B-side. Only thing about this one is it has a little bit of a warp. I don't know if you can see it that well. It's one of those lip warps where it's only on one part of the edge, and so it jumps a little bit at the beginning. I'm gonna see if I can fix that. Wish me luck on that. And the other two I got from there were both by Bauhaus. They have their Ziggy Stardust single or cover, Bowie Ziggy Stardust, and the B-side is Third Uncle. Cool cover of a cool song, and then great original. And then this one, which I'm blanking on the name of, it's on the back here, Terror Couple Killed Uncle. It actually has two versions of the song, plus on the B-side there's like a 1-minute track, which was actually really good. Super cool to have that. These are, but by the way, these are both original UK pressings. This one has like a sort of textured sleeve. I don't know if you can see it that well, and I'll pull out the label on this one. Yeah, this one's on 4AD. There you go. And these last three 45s were all online purchases. Actually from a guy from a band who I really like. I still do like them. I was really into them in high school. They're like a post-hardcore band called Touche Amore. I don't have any of their LPs. I do have actually I have two 7-inches splits that they put out with different bands. But his name is Jeremy Boehm, and he's like a really nice guy, and from what I've seen from interviews anyway, and a pretty hardcore record collector. You know, the type of guy that Henry Rollins would really hate. You know, just collecting all the different color variations of stuff, and pretty much has everything. And so he has like a huge punk collection, obviously, but I was able to grab a couple non-punk things from his Discogs, which he had been advertising on his Instagram. The first one is a Brian Wilson single from his 2004 reworking of Smile, which I want to get a pressing of that on vinyl, by the way. But this is the songs Wonderful and Wind Chimes on this cool label, Must Destroy. Oh, and that one's on blue vinyl. Let me see if I can pull that real quick. Yeah, that's gonna be a little too hard. I got this Built to Spill promo single for the song Strange from their 2001 album Ancient Melodies of the Future, which, by the way, that album is really good, but it has really terrible artwork. So if you judge records by their covers, maybe give that one a shot anyway. This one's also on blue vinyl, and it comes in interesting packaging, like one of those resealable, like really thick plastic sleeves. This artwork is a single sheet, and then like transparent blue vinyl. And the B-side is a track called Instrumental Number 2, which is not on the album. So that's just a cool kind of rarity. It's always nice to have non-album tracks. And then I have this one by Man or Astro Man, which is a band I've been really getting into the past year. Really just looking for anything of theirs on vinyl affordably. I think represses are pretty widely available, but this is the kind of collector that I am. I'd rather have originals if I can get them. And so this is a single for the songs Cuts and Volts and Draining Their Batteries. So I don't know if you can see, this one is cutout, but it's really interesting because I had never seen a cutout that affected an insert this badly. Like it's a fold out type of deal, and so it just has this like pretty large hole there, but really cool cutout with they're all instrumental tracks. So I guess I should explain. Man or Astroman is like a neo surf rock or garage thing. Instrumental is kind of like the Ventures or the Surfaris or Dick Dale, people like that. And you know, these songs, while being instrumental, kind of the theme is kind of like cars or like drag racing and stuff. So that kind of 60s throwback thing is really cool. It kind of defines their sound. All right, and that is all the 7 inches. So I'll move on to I guess I'll show what I got on record store day. So basically, I have one record store in town. They're called Spin Connection. I've talked about them before and how they're definitely not the kind of record store that I'm used to. I am very happy to have them though, because I could live in a town that doesn't have a record store, and that would really suck. As evidenced by the support that I felt like showing them on record store day by picking up some of their stuff. First one being the Astral Weeks alternative versions by Van Morrison. This is on a 10-inch, pretty standard black vinyl, you know. Yeah, alternative versions of some of my favorite tracks from Astral Weeks, like Beside You, Madame George, Ballerina, and Slow Dancer. Astral Weeks is one of those records, like any more that you could possibly hear is amazing. You know, you want to hear the different things, and I think that was on that stuff was on the deluxe CD version that came out a couple years ago. The next thing I picked up was Weezer, the Teal album. I would have also picked up the Blue album, B-Sides and Rarities. I do actually have that CD, the double CD with the deluxe packaging, like I was just talking about. It's on this kind of teal vinyl. So yeah, I would have liked to pick up that other Weezer, but the store didn't have a copy, so I grabbed the Weezer that they did have. They also had a copy of the lullaby renditions of Weezer songs, which doesn't really appeal to me, honestly. Next, or I should say lastly, for the record store day stuff that I got, the new releases anyway, I got the repress of Trap Mask Replica because yeah, I've been wanting this record for so long, and originals are pretty much impossible to find outside of record shows for me. I will say that the packaging on this might be the heaviest record sleeve I've ever had. This repressing is by Third Man Records, and this jacket is just so heavy. It's thick. I mean, the spine is huge. It like stands out on the shelf. And I was reading about it. You know, this is apparently the first time the album artwork has been reproduced so lovingly. Like, it's a really high res scan of the original art, as opposed to like a copy of the cover. And I have seen versions in stores of repressings where it has that thing where it looks like a blown up image, you know. So that's a nice touch. You know, Jack White being a huge record nerd also. And then it has a reproduction of the original insert. And I don't really feel the need to talk about Trap Mask Replica. I was kind of talking about it with some of the guys in the store who had never seen that cover, and the cover is pretty crazy, you know, and the music is even weirder than the cover. That's all I could really explain to it, or explain it as. But yeah, if you've never heard this, it's on YouTube. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but the full album's on YouTube. Just give it a little try, and yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. And of course, they were doing a 20% off sale for all the used stuff, And in the new arrivals bin, I found this little Ramones record. What's this one called? Pleasant Dreams. I had never heard this one before. So I've been doing my project for this year. I'm listening to a new album every single day, which reminds me I haven't listened to mine for today yet. I'll get to that after I finish this video. But this was one of the ones I listened to this past month because I had never heard it, but it was the Ramones, and it was alright. It was not the best Ramones thing I've ever heard, but it was definitely pretty good. I really loved the song The KKK Took My Baby Away, and She's a Sensation was also really good. The whole album was pretty solid. This is an original US blah 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 Sire Records label. I think this one was 1981. This came out. All right, and so that kind of brings me to the stuff I was able to get on my honeymoon. Was able to find some really interesting stuff. I'll get to that in a little bit. So the first thrift store we got to had a lot of records. Some of them were overpriced, some were underpriced, as I'll show here in a few minutes. But I just didn't have this one. This was another one I had only recently listened to this past year as part of my project. This is James Taylor, Sweet Baby James. The cover is not in the greatest condition, but the record I was pleased to find was super nice. I mean, that's pretty shiny, glossy. Original green Warner label, you know. Happy to pay thrift store price for that as opposed to, you know, like $8 or $10 in a record store. And in that same store, I found these next four kind of under the radar stuff. Like the owner had no idea what these were. This is GBH, No Need to Panic. I just listened to this the other day as a new record. Really good hardcore punk, you know, late 80s GBH. This one kind of, you know, all the songs are kind of samey, but that's kind of a good thing when it comes to a record like this. They're not really, I feel like they're not experimenting too bad, but they have a good formula that really works for them. Always happy to find well, anything on the SST label, but Minutemen especially, and anything with Mike Watt, for sure. Original US press. This is their last record, Three-Way Tie for Last. Really cool artwork, which apparently is by D. Boone, the late D. Boone there. I had no idea he did visual art. That's pretty cool. And a good record. This was an interesting find. I kind of took a chance on. This is a private press live record by this group called the Endzones, live at Warehouse Hall. So I was reading, there's an article from a, I don't even remember what state these guys are from. Burlington, I want to say it was like Connecticut or some East Coast or Midwest state like that. Anyway, if the Endzones, oh, I'm sorry, it says right there, Burlington, Vermont. See, I knew it. The Endzones were described as like a blues rock sort of bar band. That's not what I really picked up on this record. There was definitely that kind of bar band sound, and it's mostly covers on here, but not super hard blues rock like I was kind of expecting. They had more of a, you know, 70s power pop leaning, maybe a little bit of sort of that new wave sound coming in a little bit on their original songs. Like, they have a really good original called Radio Tread, which is by this guy Zoot Wilson. He's there on the far right. Really good guitarist, and I'm not super in love with his vocals, but a solid vocalist. And I think he also passed away somewhat recently. I don't know, but he was kind of a local legend, and the group was kind of a local legend, and apparently the venue was kind of a local legend as described by the liner notes. It wasn't there for that long, but it was like a really fun dance hall. And there's a little story to tell in the back of here. In the middle of the show at about 1 a.m. the lights go out, and people there were pretty convinced that the show is what caused it. I mean, like, the lights went out for like several blocks around. So who knows? Really interesting find. And then this one I never heard of before. Another new one to me by this group DirtyThree. This album's called Ocean Songs. It's a double LP with an insert. Double LP, black vinyl, blah blah blah. It's on Touch and Go Records, which I'm always happy to find more from them. So, what can I say? It's post rock. You know, it's instrumental. Three-piece band, obviously, with your typical, you know, post rock with its ups and downs of guitar and drum climaxes and mellow periods, but also some really good violin playing or some kind of stringed instrument like that. I've never heard any of their other albums, but I've been reading about this, and apparently this one was kind of a little bit of a change in form, because as opposed to doing the sort of climactic ups and downs and playing with tempo and dynamics, this is a pretty mellow album. It really is. It's sort of floaty. It's not slow, but it's patient, and it really takes its time, just sort of, you know, taking you through this. Really, not even, obviously not a story, but just kind of taking you through like different feelings or emotions with each song. It's really good. Give that one a listen for sure. Alright, so the rest of these I picked up in Austin. I'll just kind of go in the order that I have here, which is non-chronological. So of course we had to stop at wow, I'm blanking on the name. Waterloo Records, which is kind of a staple of Austin. They've been there a long time, like decades, and they pretty much get everything. I mean, definitely go there if you're looking for a new release, because they probably have it, and they have a pretty large CD and DVD and even a couple books and collectibles and things like that, just besides the records. But half of the store is dedicated to records. It's a pretty large store space too. So yeah, a new one that I bought, which was not on sale, but it's definitely the best price I've seen it at, and I finally just pulled the trigger. I don't know why I waited so long to get this one. Phoebe Bridgers, Stranger in the Alps. One of the best records of 2017. She's really hitting it big. She's, you know, 1/3 of the supergroup Boy Genius, with her, Julian Baker, and Lucy Dacus, and also she's half of a new group who just put out a new album a couple months ago, Better Oblivion Community Center, which she is in with Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes. So this is her, I believe it's her debut. Just a really good record. If you're into sort of the renaissance of sad, slow singer-songwriter, female-fronted kind of thing we're in right now, definitely check that one out if you haven't already for some reason. And then sort of a Midwest emo classic here. This band's called Rainer Maria. Album is Look Now Look Again. This is an original pressing, 1999 or 98, something like that, from Polyvinyl Records. You know, pretty standard black vinyl. This one I picked up used. It was up on the wall, and it was a good price. Definitely beating the online prices for this. This was yet another one that I had only recently listened to this year. I really loved it. One of the best ones I've heard this year. If you're into emo, that kind of jangly, sort of, you know, Midwest emo indie rock sound, give that one a shot for sure. These next three were all from that same Half Price Books, where I found that Jeff the Brotherhood single. I guess I'll show both of these at once. Tom Verlaine, his first two solo albums. So I haven't actually listened to these two yet. I haven't had time. These will both be new lessons for me for this year. They also had the third one, but I kind of, you know, I was on a little bit of a budget, so I put one of them back in exchange for this other record that I have here, which I'll show in a minute. But these are all originals, obviously. First one being on the Elektra label, and this one, Warner Brothers, which I'll show real quick. That Warner Brothers label. I think the third one is also on Warner Brothers. Again, cover's not in super amazing condition, but records are pretty nice once I clean them. And, oh, I guess I didn't mention, Tom Verlaine was sort of the front man for Television. So, you know, last month I picked up Television's second album, and I guess now all I really need is Richard Hell and the Voidoids Blank Generation LP, and that'll kind of be a complete Television collection. And then when I actually had on my want list, because I found their third record, I'm still looking for their first one, which I've seen a couple times, but just never picked it up, and I haven't seen it in like a year now. Anyway, their second LP, the band Cactus, One Way or Another. This one's on Atco 70 or 71, I want to say. Just super cool. You know, that early 70s hard rock. Original Atco label. I've seen this one for super high prices for some reason. Like, I think actually my local store has had a copy of this for like 30 bucks. I do actually think that was a white label promo. Actually, no, it wasn't a white label promo. It just had a promo sticker on it and a normal label. But white label promos do exist of this. Anyway, this was only like 5 bucks. So, yeah, no brainer. Alright, the rest of these are all from probably my favorite record store in the universe, honestly. It's in Austin, Texas, in a veneer. I don't know if I've worn this shirt on here before, but anyway, great store. They kind of had a lot of stuff. I got kind of overwhelmed. I found some really great stuff in their new arrivals bin, and I ended up putting it all back just because of budget. But that's the kind of store where, you know, I don't know how they do it. They just get such cool stuff in consistently, and the employees there are super nice and knowledgeable, and that's the kind of store, you know, you look on the wall of just the collectible records they have, and you could, you know, you might never see some of those records again in your lifetime. Like, they had a original first UK press of Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. Rare stuff like that, like rare singles, original Blue Note Jazz, that kind of thing. I didn't get any of that. I got some interesting stuff though. So I don't typically look through the dollar bin there, but something was kind of telling me to, and I found two interesting dollar records. First one being Loudon Wainwright III t-shirt. So earlier, I think it was late last year, actually, I found a original British pressing of this, but this is like a super mint US first press for $1. Couldn't leave it behind, so I think I'll probably be passing along my British pressing, honestly. And then the other thing, a super, and I mean super duper beat up copy of Sgt. Pepper. The spine is destroyed, the seams are totally split. But what was interesting about this, one, it's a mono, and I cleaned it up and play tested. It doesn't play amazingly, but the copy that I do have, which is an original stereo, is actually not in as great condition as I remember. So actually this isn't really even as bad as I had initially thought it was in the store. But what was cool about it is, one, it came with the cutout insert, which I need either way. My other copy only has the printed inner sleeve. And it also has this weird cardboard cutout, like a stand type thing, coded as 1990. This is like just a weird tiny cardboard cutout of the Beatles and their Sgt. Pepper outfits. And that's pretty cool. That's definitely worth $1 right there. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, if it's going to go on the wall or or what, but that was worth $1. And actually, I think I might end up keeping the record and just looking for a jacket to upgrade, because the mono mix is pretty good. I was never in love with the stereo mix on the original copy that I have, and yeah, again, just gonna upgrade that mono cover, because the original stereo copy just has a bright yellow thing across the top that just says stereo, so I can't just trade them out. That would be wrong. They had sort of a weird table set off to the side that they don't normally have, just labeled as like jazz new arrivals. Normally they just plop those in their own section, the jazz section, but I think they were kind of overflow from there, because it looked like they bought a large jazz collection. So I ended up impulse buying this Anthony Braxton, which I had never heard before, and never heard a Anthony Braxton full LP before. But this is a good one. This is 5 pieces, 1975, on the Arista label, original pressing. You can see the cutout there, gatefold. I don't know any of the other players, because free jazz is definitely a genre I'm not super familiar with, but this was a really interesting record. It was not as out there as I kind of thought it was going to be. The last track definitely was, I will say. I'm sorry, the second to last one. The first one on side 2. It's a 17-minute and 17-second, just long, free jazz piece. And aside from that one just being a little more out there, the rest of it was actually pretty accessible. And they had a lot more Anthony Braxton there, so if you guys are in the area of Austin or anywhere in Central or South Texas, definitely might be worth taking a little trip up there to look at their jazz section, because this was pretty affordable. Definitely below Discogs value, that kind of thing, and they had a lot more that looked really similar, probably similar conditions too, which record on this was great, by the way, condition wise. And the last one of this video here is an upgrade copy for an album I already like, because I can't resist. It's the Beach Boys, Summer Days and Summer Nights, famous for California Girls. I love that cover though. My copy that I already had, the spine was totally destroyed and it was like splitting a little bit. So yeah, really happy to have a nice upgrade, and I definitely got this one because you don't really see any Beach Boys in my area, not their 60s stuff anyway, and definitely not in this good a condition. So I couldn't honestly leave that behind. And like I already said, there was some really cool stuff there. Like there was an uncensored Moby Grape debut LP, with the finger, and it had the poster and everything, but the record and cover were not in amazing condition. And for the price, I think I could hold out and get a better copy. A couple other things, like original Melvins. What's the name of that album? It's Ozma, that Melvins album, but it has some water damage. Just stuff like that, where I could always find little excuses as to why I didn't necessarily want to pick it up then and there. So yeah, that's it for the month. I don't know when my next video is going to be, and I don't know how much I'm going to be buying this month, because we also are in the process of adopting a dog right now, so that's kind of taking up a lot of my time and attention. So I'll see you guys when I see it. I'll keep watching the videos as always, and thanks for watching. Take care.